Well, this is going to be different. I know that my channel kind of has a theme, and a lot of the stuff I upload is like kind of, the same thing, and that's what people expect, and I think that's what people want. But I have always done what I want to on this channel. And so, I play music. I love guitar especially. And I have opinions about this, and it's been going around. So, yeah, we're doing a reaction video to this. This list is so incredibly bad. Now, I'm not here to bash Taylor Swift. That's not what this video is going to be about. I'm barely going to even talk about Taylor Swift, and I'm going to get to that toward the end. Like I said, this entire list is just absolutely awful. How the hell do you have two guitarists from Radiohead in the top 7? I feel like a lot of the people on this list got their spot on it based on like numbers of streams, or at least that was a huge part of it, and not what they do with a guitar. I'm going to be upfront with my biggest blind spot and bias here. I don't like metal music. I think of it as unpoetic. It lacks charisma and nuance. It's very one-dimensional. And I just think of it, I call it blood pressure music. There's some metal songs that I like, but it's just like, it's not my thing. Funny though, I do like a lot of Chevelle songs. So I don't know if that's makes me weird or whatever. So I'm not going to say anything negative about any metal guitar players, but I'm not going to say anything positive either. I'm going to give you my take on who I think should be at the top of this list. And, those of you that know or are maybe more well-rounded than me, you can give me the argument for why you think, I don't know, Jim Root belongs in the top 5 or something like that. And I'm just going to defer to your opinion on that. So because I know that I'm biased and I don't know everyone on this list, Simon Neil, I have no idea who that is. Sorry. Sam Fender, I had never heard of either. I watched one YouTube video. Dude definitely has some skills, but Sam, I don't know who you are. So I'm not going to rebuild the top 20 list here. I'm not going to try to like rearrange the entire list. I wouldn't do that. But also, there are definitely names on this list that need to be thrown out because there are people they forgot. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you my top 6. And then I'm going to give you my justification for them. And then we're going to talk about Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran being on this list. My top 6 would be John Mayer, John Frusciante, Brad Paisley, Dan Auerbach, Jack White, and Keith Urban. Here's why. I will die on this hill. John Mayer is the best guitar player in the world since Stevie Ray Vaughan, and it's not even close. Lists like this are hard because they're definitely subjective, but you have to combine a lot of subjective things. So does best mean just pure talent and skill? Is that it? Is the person at the top of the list the guy that would win a guitar battle? He would go, oh yeah, beat this. And he would play something that nobody can replicate. Or is it influence? That's a huge reason why most people consider Jimi Hendrix to be the greatest guitar player ever, and that nobody can overcome him because he reinvented the way guitar is played. People give Kurt Cobain his flowers, even though, he wasn't like this uber talented technical guitar player, because he was the biggest part of an entire genre of music. This is why the Beatles are so highly regarded as well. It's also why people consider Led Zeppelin to be one of maybe like the 3 or 4 greatest bands ever. Or maybe best is maybe longevity plays into that. Nobody's had a longer career than Keith Richards, right? Or, I don't know, like a sports analogy, what LeBron James is doing in his 21st season or whatever that was. That has to count for something. Maybe that can be something that can get you to the top of the list, maybe in spite of some other things. Or, we'll stick to music here. It could be for a guitar player how many different genres and styles you have covered. So, like, for example, going back to Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan maybe was the greatest one-dimensional guitar player of all time. By that I mean, Stevie really never strayed away from the blues. He has the only song that's kind of almost like a pop song that he ever wrote is Crossfire that I can think of. So he pretty much just always stayed right in the blues, and unfortunately his career was short. But he played the blues in a way that makes you think this is the way it should be played. Like, he did it perfectly. Now, with all that being said, I honestly don't think anybody on this list or anybody in the last over 30 years can hold a candle to any of those things except for influence. But I don't really blame John for that. I think because he was such a successful pop songwriter, a lot of people, when they think of John Mayer, they just think, oh yeah, your body is a wonderland and no such thing, right? But I just watch this. What popular guitarist can play this? I know I can. Peter Palladino looks so impressed with him. Look at him. It gets better too. Watch this. This came out quite a while ago, back in like 2008 or something like that. I didn't watch this concert for years. I only listened to it. And like that specific part, I remember listening to it and just thinking to myself, not in a million years could I ever even figure out what he was doing there. It's so weird. And then I watch it, and then like this doesn't help either. He's created an octopus with both of his hands, and I'm still like I get what you're doing. He's moving up and down and strumming so fast, but he's just incredible. Okay, well, I'm actually going to play another one. So, or from the same concert, I think Where the Light is his magnum opus. I don't know how he does that. He's just, I mean, it looks like he's hitting all the strings at the same time, but he's being so incredibly precise. I mean, he's a professional musician. That's how he's able to do it. So having John anywhere other than number one is, I mean, it's not insulting, but I'm sorry, you're just wrong. So here's Alex Turner, and he was ranked ahead of John Mayer, and he's from the Arctic Monkeys. Good band. So I Googled this. The title of this video is Best Live Solos. I could do that. He's playing two notes. sounds really badass, right? And it gets your heart pumping, but that there wasn't anything special going on there. I'm sorry. Alex is very good. He's a great musician, and Do I Want to Know? That riff goes so hard, but just because your song has a billion streams, it doesn't mean you're the second best guitar player. John Frusciante really doesn't need an explanation. I don't think. I don't even have anything to play for you. Those two John Mayer songs, even people that are big fans of John Mayer maybe have never heard those, because those are actually both covers. And, you know, his pop music is way more known, and Gravity and, you know, songs like that. But going back to Frusciante, he's incredibly talented. He's super influential. And his career has been insanely long. I would say all of that stuff is on par with John Mayer. I would only rank him below John because I think John Mayer can do things on the guitar that Frusciante can't do, that nobody else that's on that list can do. And I think Mayer and Frusciante, I think they're the clear number one and number two. And actually, everybody else that I'm going to talk about, I don't actually care what order they go in. So I'm actually not ranking the other four guitarists that I'm gonna talk to you about. I'm actually not even gonna go in the same order I listed them in earlier. I want to go back to the talent thing real quick, just because I don't know where this best fits, but it's got to go in here somewhere. So you take a guitar player like Tommy Emmanuel. I got to see Tommy in December, front row center, got to meet him, got the autograph, got a photograph with him too. That was a Christmas and birthday present for my dad. I flew him out and we went to go see him together. And Tommy is still active, but he's been active for a long time, so I think he wouldn't technically be eligible for this list. But when I said earlier, you know, such so-and-so talent-wise, they can do things that other people can't do. There are probably 100 people on the planet that can play Tommy Emmanuel songs, but that's it. But again, the list isn't just about talent. It's not just about that. I would say that's probably the most important thing, but I mean, if nobody knows who you are or anything like that, then that counts against your greatness. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Brad Paisley and Keith Urban next. People that don't listen to country music, I think, really don't get how popular it is. I'm pretty sure country music is the most popular genre of music in the country. I'm actually not a big country guy. I make fun of country music a lot, but Brad Paisley, he's not just a megastar, he's incredibly talented. So we'll just take a look at one Brad Paisley thing here. Not a very high quality video, but it was the best guitar solo I could get.
Can I get a yeehaw, you people?
I mean, it's like he's the Eddie Van Halen of country music or something. That's fantastic. Keith Urban, I don't have a lot to say about Keith Urban, just like Brad Paisley, because I don't listen to country music, but I've seen them play guitar, and they're just obviously so incredibly talented. Now, they were both on the list at 12 and 14, but I just think they're just so Foo Fighters, no. So anyways, let's just check out this Keith Urban song. I don't know if you caught that. His guitar strap fell off, and what he does, okay, his guitar strap fell off, and he struggles, and he gets it on just in time, but he lets that note ring out, which is a really important thing to do in music. You need to let your guitar sing, and have the confidence to hold a note out. That's how you know you're really great, because if you're just filling out the space with noise, it's possible to do that and sound really great. We saw Brad Paisley do that, but other times it can just sound like you're microwaving a toaster. But the way he recovers from this and gets back into the solo, this tells me a lot about him, because I think he just completely ad-libbed the whole solo, or if he didn't, he definitely did after this point, because there's no way that this was the intention. So we'll rewind a little bit and just watch. Okay, yeah, we don't need to listen to John anymore, but yeah, that's seriously good. And he's obviously very well known and influential and all that. Speaking of other guitar players sharing a stage with John Mayer, Derek Trucks. B.B. King is also on this stage. I don't even know when this happened, but so Derek Trucks, I wouldn't call Derek Trucks the best guitar player in the world, but he's definitely way, way, way up there. Certainly more than anybody else. He doesn't get the recognition and the respect he deserves. Because, I don't know, because his genre with Tedeschi Trucks, it just isn't, it's kind of like a bluegrassy type of thing, so it's not super popular. But he just plays the most incredible and beautiful stuff. But if you don't know Derek Trucks, then I'm not going to make any commentary. We're just going to listen to this because it's just incredible. His song, he makes his guitar sound like Aretha Franklin and Whitney Houston at the same time, almost crying when they sing, but in the most beautiful imaginable way. So let's just check this out.
Play me that solo again that you did a few minutes ago. I see why you married him. Damn, he's hot that night, eh?
Good for you. The fact that Dan Auerbach and Jack White didn't make this list is just an absolute crime. And I don't know how they made this list. I assume they polled people, but they couldn't have possibly polled guitar players, because how could I don't know. If you don't know who Dan Auerbach is, he's the guitar player for the Black Keys. So Dan isn't known as like a guitar solo guy, and yeah, like the only thing I've shown you so far are guitar solos. But Dan is seriously one of the greatest guitar riff players like ever. And that matters because guitar riffs are what make guitar music good. Now, that may sound kind of bold and weird coming from a guitar player, but here's how I know that. Because 9 times out of 10, a regular person will ask a guitar player, hey, can you play Thunderstruck? We hate being asked that. Not because we think Thunderstruck is a bad song or anything like that, but it's just like, for us, it's just kind of like, this is what people think like great guitar is, or difficult guitar is, and it's not. And I don't disrespect Angus Young. He's an incredible guitar player, but greatness can't, it can't just be about what guitar players think is great. It can't be. It has to be in the public eye, or a large part of it has to be in the public eye. And guitar riffs are extremely important for that reason. Guitar riffs, that's also what makes people want to play the guitar. Very few people pick up the guitar and start learning songs. We learn the intros to tons of songs. I'm still like that. There are intros to some songs where that is the only part of the song that I know to this day. Heavy Soul, I Got Mine, Gold on the Ceiling, Lonely Boy, Tighten Up. Dan has like an anthology of catchy, simple, great guitar pieces. But he's also a musical genius. They have so many albums and have been putting out music for so long, and the quality has always been at a really high level. It's really funny. I texted, I have a group chat with some of my best friends from childhood, and we were talking about this list, and my friend Garrett, he took the words like right out of my mouth talking about Dan Auerbach. He said something to the effect, I'm using my phone to record so I can't read it, but he said something to the effect of, great guitar music is just stuff that makes you want to sit down and listen to it. And the Black Keys are like quintessentially, for like a modern band today, that is them. They suffer from the same kind of John Mayer thing. They have like Gold on the Ceiling and Lonely Boy. Those are huge mega hits, but the number of great songs they have that you don't ever hear on the radio or whatever, it's astonishing. The first Black Keys song I ever heard was Strange Times, because it was on Grand Theft Auto 4. And for a really long time, that was the only Black Keys song I knew. And then I got massively into them in college, and everybody I talk to that says they like them, I'm like, yeah, but do you know about like Brothers and Rubber Factory and, oh God, what are the other albums? I can't think of their names off the top of my head. Shame on me. But I asked them about them, and most people say no. I'm like, you just put Black Keys in Spotify, just hit shuffle next time you're on a road trip, and you will not get bored for hours. They're such a great band. Okay, Jack White. Yeah, the fact that Jack White wasn't on this list just makes absolutely no sense. I have weird feelings about Jack White as a guitar player and a songwriter. I would say about a third of his songs are some of my favorites. About a third of the songs, I'm like, yeah, okay, like it's a fine song or whatever. And then the remaining third, I'm just like, Jack, what is this? Is this music? Like there are just some weird stuff that he's done. But Jack White is a seriously talented guitar player. He's a great riff writer, and he had a pretty long career too. He's not really doing music anymore, but it's pretty respectable. I think Jack, again, kind of suffers from the same thing that Mayer does. Most people just think of Seven Nation Army and Steady as She Goes when they think of the White Stripes, but what can you do? Now, Jack gets bonus points because his music has evolved a lot. If you compare their debut album, which is just called The White Stripes, it sounds like a garage band, or they sound like a garage band, like in the best possible way. It's very crunchy and very echoey, and it sounds really analog, and it almost sounds like it was recorded with cheap equipment, but it's like that was the style and flavor of it. I'm not saying that the music could have been better if only for that, the music is perfect. It's just this really unique, different kind of sound. And then you get to Elephant, which was just a rock and roll masterpiece, and it sounds completely different. And then Icky Thump, which was kind of weird, but also really, really good. And then Blunderbuss, the album Jack White put out on his own. The music in that album is just beautiful. There's some like kick-ass tunes like 16 Saltines. That's not a pretty song, but the title song Blunderbuss and a few others are just it almost sounds like Jack White sort of grew up, but with his musicality or music ability or whatever, which isn't what he was doing. He was just doing new things. He could have always done that, I'm sure. And it's just really clear that Jack White excelled in lots of different dimensions of music. Okay, so I actually have very little to say about Taylor Swift here. And that is just simply that she should not have been on the list at all. And neither should have Ed Sheeran. Because they're not guitar players. They are songwriters who play the guitar, but they also don't, like, barely, from everything I've heard or whatever. So, like, as a comparison, you know who didn't make Rolling Stone's list of 100 greatest guitarists of all time, even when they redid the entire list? I think people forget the original list where Duane Allman was number 2 instead of Eric Clapton. But you know who wasn't on that list? Paul Simon, one of the greatest songwriters of all time, who was a guitar player, and like actually a really, really good guitar player. But they were right to not include Paul Simon on the list. And Taylor, Ed, you shouldn't be on this list either. I know this was different. Maybe you didn't like it. Whatever. I just do what I like on this channel. But next time we're going to be making fun of Kent Hovind. So, hey, back to playing the hits. I'll see you guys.